Senator Duckworth is participating virtually, so as we prep the tech, let me briefly introduce Senator Duckworth from Illinois. She is an Iraq War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and former Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, who was among the first handful of Army women to fly combat missions during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Senator Duckworth also served in the reserve forces for 23 years before retiring at the rank of lieutenant colonel in 2014. Senator Duckworth, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank the Chairman and Ranking Member Cornyn for the opportunity to speak on this very important issue. The time has come for Congress to demonstrate our loyalty and service to the immigrant service members and veterans who have demonstrated their loyalty to the Constitution in serving our nation. These are proud Americans who simply wish to become citizens of the nation whose uniform they've proudly worn in service. There's no doubt that immigrant service members are a critical part of our military. Since the Revolutionary War, immigrants have enlisted in the United States Armed Forces and fought to defend our nation and its ideals. Now, the United States rely on immigrant service members in all sectors of the armed forces, and they are powerful assets in strengthening our national security and protecting our homeland. Making sure that immigrant service members, veterans, and their families can access naturalization services is not just the right thing to do, it's a wise strategic policy decision that empowers our military to selectively recruit from broad and diverse talent pools, which ultimately enhances our military readiness. That is why for over 200 years, Congress has provided service members an expedited path to citizenship, and both Democratic and Republican administrations have worked to streamline the naturalization process for service members. Especially in times of conflict, Congress specifically intended for service members to naturalize as soon as they entered service and prior to their deployment. Theoretically, naturalization through military service should be a seamless process, especially as it serves our national security interests. In reality, far too many service members never gain the citizenship they've earned through their service. Some of our service members are fighting overseas only to fear that they or a loved one could be detained and deported by the same country that they are defending. Or worse, some don't even realize that they're not yet citizens, and like many Americans, mistakenly believe that citizenship automatically accompanies honorably serving in uniform. And coming home presents a new set of challenges, with many veterans turning to self-medication rather than seeking proper treatment or care, leaving them vulnerable to the unforgiving nature of our criminal justice system and immigration laws when we fail to properly diagnose them with post-traumatic stress. Take, for example, one case of combat veteran Miguel Perez. After serving 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan as part of Operation Enduring Freedom, Miguel returned to the United States suffering from undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder and without legal status. The United States Army failed to help Miguel naturalize on 2 separate occasions prior to his deployment and upon his return to the United States. He, in fact, had started to fill out paperwork and thought that everything was proceeding smoothly. The system also failed to make sure Miguel was provided proper support and care after suffering a traumatic brain injury from a blast in Afghanistan, and he fell into a spiral of self-medicating with drugs that ultimately resulted in his becoming entangled with the criminal justice system. Now, let me be clear. Miguel never dodged responsibility and accountability for his mistake. He accepted it and served his time in prison. His cruel removal from this country originated with the civil, not criminal violation of being present in the United States without proper status. And it did not begin until after Miguel served his time and paid his debt to society. In effect, Miguel was punished twice by the country that deployed him twice to Afghanistan, where he risked his own life engaging in intense combat. Once deported, Miguel was separated from his family and his support network, was unable to access his full VA healthcare benefits that he had earned and was entitled to, and faced even greater challenges seeking the naturalization he should have earned during his time in service and his sacrifice. I wish that I could say Miguel's case was an anomaly, but the truth is we don't even know how many veterans have been deported because the United States government fails to even maintain a detailed record of the veterans and military family members it callously removes from our country. Just a few years ago, I spent Veterans Day in Tijuana, Mexico, meeting and talking to some of these veterans in a community created and run by this incredible organization, the Deported Veterans Support House. These veterans are asking for our help, asking us to live up to our obligation to support and protect our nation's veterans, regardless of their immigration status. We in Congress have the ability to take substantive, concrete action that could bring these veterans home and make sure that no other individual who served our country honorably is deported again. That is why I've introduced several bills to protect and support immigrant service members, veterans and their families, like the Veterans Visa and Protection Act, the HOPE Act, and the IVETS Act. My legislation would prohibit the deportation of veterans who are non-violent offenders, give legal permanent residents a path to citizenship through military service, and strengthen VA healthcare services for veterans. Our country has a duty to support our military members, veterans and their families, and I look forward to working with you all to make sure that we fulfill that duty. Again, thank you for inviting me to speak today on this critical issue, and I hope that today's conversation inspires more solutions in this area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.